the last thing I want to go through, and this is just going to be lecture, are some of the strategies of how we use footwork. Okay? So we understand the concept of measure, right? Either you are in measure or you are out of measure. Okay? Measure is the point at which you can hit your opponent. Okay? If I have a long weapon and you have a short weapon, there is a point at which I am in measure and you are not. Right? Where I can strike you and you can't. So the question is how do we get to that point of being able to strike our opponent through that range at which they can strike us, but we can't attack them? Okay? So there are 4 phases to footwork, right? And 4 stages to an exchange. Okay? Yahweh, why don't you come out here? Okay? So we're sitting out here and we're doing our footwork, right? We're doing a little. Neither of us can actually strike the other right now, right? We're out at range. But our footwork at this stage still serves a purpose. Okay? It's what's called the preparatory stage, right? Footwork here is where we set up the patterns that we want our opponent to see, right? So that we can then use those patterns to break them up and exploit what it is, or exploit their reactions, right? So out here, I'm going to show them the shuffle step. I might show them the pass, right? Or I could have like little tiny, pendulum steps, right? Pulling my foot back, pulling my foot back, stepping in, right? Breaking that pattern, right? But I'm showing him what I want him to see, okay? The next step is entry. This is the point at which we cross into measure, okay? So, when we talk about footwork, we can talk about active movement or passive movement, okay? Active movement is, I'm going to take this step, right? Now, we talked about equal opportunity, right? If I can take that step, he can take a step, right? So, in general, active movement is bad, right? It actually gives my opponent an opportunity to react to the movement that I have. Passive movement is either the movement that maintains our position relative to each other, right? So if I, for example, I take a step here, this is passive movement, right? He is moved to maintain the position between us, right? If I step to here, he's maintained the position between us, right? He can also choose to now take a step and improve his position, right? But as I'm taking this pass through, right, it becomes very, very hard for me to stop doing that at any point, right? This is why being the one to react to your opponent is better than just straight up initiating your movement. Okay? So Casey just showed active movement in respect to my active movement of moving in, of trying to change our position. Yahweh. Okay? So there are 3 times when we want when active movement is beneficial. Okay? And those 3 times are when our opponent is frozen in motion, when they are committed to a blow, when they're committed to a step, where they cannot stop what it is they're doing, right? They are in motion, but they can't stop that. They are frozen in motion. The second time is when they are off balance. What happens when you're off balance? Right? You're no longer able to react. Right? You're no longer able to change, again, what it is you're doing, or change what it is you're doing as well as you could if you were in balance. The third time is if they cannot perceive your movement. Okay? So examples of this would be if you do a blind. Right? If he can't see me moving, the other thing is you make your steps small. If he doesn't see this step that is giving me 3 inches, but now gives me an angle here to exploit, he can't react to it, right? I've changed my position. It's a very small change, but if he can't react to it, then it's beneficial, right? So those are the 3 times we want to use it, okay? So as we're doing our footwork, we want to be looking for those opportunities, right? Where our opponent is either, we're trying to change our movement up, but so there was a little tiny, where his feet came together, that's one of the things I key off of, right? Those are the opportunities that I want to exploit. Because his feet are closer together, he's not as balanced. If I catch him with his feet super far apart, this is also a good time to exploit that entry phase, or to make your entry. Because here, again, you have to shift your weight onto one leg or the other before that leg can move, right? Once we are in range, we're in here. This is the adjustment phase, okay? Adjustment phase is when we're able to both strike each other, but we're trying to change the position relative to one another. So this is really the stage that we are working at when we were just doing that Pell drill. Okay? So here, I can go throw, right? If I can get him frozen into a block, or is that, if I'm going here, is that what you're going to block? Right. Okay. Right? So I'm trying to change angles. Again, these don't have to be big. There is a point at which, when we are inside, this is our optimal range. It's what Sean calls the B range, right? This is a range at which I not only have all my front body strikes, but I can also reach around to the back, right? With wraps, or thumb lead offside, or whichever, right? If we get into here, this is what he refers to as A range. There are defensive benefits to here, right? Because now my ability to hit, close in shots, or shots to the front of the body, gets severely impeded. And now I'm almost exclusively using back of the blade. I have to attack around, right? So it's impeded your offense while giving you some defensive benefit, right? If you know how to exploit that range, you can still do it, right? But we want to, so our adjustments don't just have to be around, but they can be playing in that C, B, and A range, right? C range is the range at which I can strike him, right? Most of my strikes are going to be to the front. I cannot really reach around to strike him in the back, okay? The final phase of footwork, of a pass, is exit, right? It's how we get out, so that we are now out of measure again, right? How many times have you guys fought somebody and gone, oh, I'm getting out, bam, and you get smacked, right? This is a common occurrence, generally because you drop your guard before you are out of measure. So how we get out of range is also important, right? So one of the biggest ways is to step and move away from our opponent's weapon, right? If I'm moving away, I come in, boom, 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 right? I'm in a relatively safe line to protect myself as I'm moving out, right? We've made this exchange, right? I've thrown a shot, I've come into range, I've thrown a couple more, and now I'm exiting, right? My preparatory work, my entry, my adjustment, and my exit. There are other types of exit strategies that involve tying up your opponent, but basically the idea is to put them in a place where they cannot hit you, and you can possibly hit them if the opportunity arises, right? If you can leg them, right? That makes your exit much easier, provided you keep your defense up. Okay. Is that? Yeah. Okay. I think that is pretty much the footwork class. It was a lot of lecture. I'm glad that some of you, or that you guys got. I hope you guys got something out of this, and that you will. You should stick around for the classes that we're having the rest of the day.
And you should mention Wednesday night.
Yes, if you live in this area,
Or if you don't,
on Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock at Recreation Park in Monrovia. I run a drill practice, right? Part of it is power, part of it is semi-armored drilling, but it is all working on these concepts, working on breaking things down to very, very small units and actually practicing them rather than just what we call bash and dash practice or sparring, right? You go out, you fight, and sometimes you get feedback, sometimes you don't, and hopefully it's good. So please come out if you can to Wednesdays. Highly, highly recommend it. All right.
thank you very much.